Hi there, I'm Roger from Art Framer in Kelowna, and today we're going to be talking about framing art specifically for art collectors and buyers. So we're going to talk about original artwork versus prints, let's say limited editions. These are both very valuable pieces, and they can be framed differently because of those distinctions. Original art, let's say paintings on canvas, oil, or acrylic, these can be framed without glass, for instance, often, most likely, because they're not as sensitive to light damage, for instance. Now, things that are sensitive are going to be high-end limited edition prints, things with signatures on them. You want to have spectacular UV protection on these things, for sure. And often glare reduction, because you want to show them off in the best way possible. When you're buying original artwork or high-end limited edition prints, often they're bought without frames, unframed. If you buy from a gallery, sometimes it's got, well, most of the time, if it's artwork on canvas, it's got very basic, minimal sorts of frames, because all the framing choices should be yours as a buyer and a collector. You have a chance to come into a professional and choose how to make it, work spectacularly for you and your environment. Now, if you're framing a watercolor, that's a sort of a different thing. It's often, well, most of the time it's on paper, and hopefully art paper, so high-end paper that's not going to yellow or fade. But, of course, you need to have the UV protection, mostly for the sake of the paper. Watercolor paint is fairly inert, again, like most paints. They're not going to be as delicate, but paper has to be protected with glass and, again, from UV damage and acid damage as well. In regards to canvases, there came a trend some years ago as picture framing, maybe as it became more expensive and hard to access. Frameless canvases became quite a trend, and that can look very, very, very nice. A lot of artists paint the edges of the canvases so that they can be displayed or part of the display. Putting a frame on a canvas, of course, gives it an extra kind of finish and elegance. Most artwork on canvas is what's called stretched, as you know. It's basically pulled around a wooden frame, stapled around the ends, around the back usually, sometimes on the side, but usually around the back, so that it can be displayed pristinely, flat, ready to frame or to hang without a frame, just like that. Some canvases, usually a smaller piece, can come in and they, maybe they don't have an edge, so you can't pull it around a frame and stretch it that way, but they can be mounted. Let's say there's certain kinds of safe adhesives and dry mounting in a heat press that can gently put something in place. Sometimes you just need to hinge it and hang it, if it's depending on the kind of canvas it is. So there's a few options to deal with canvases. Most of the time you're stretching it, though. Now, in regards to things like pastels and charcoal and things that we can call unstable mediums, for instance, they can flake, they can fall down if they're not sprayed with a protective stabilizer. Often an artist will do that if they want to make sure that their artwork is not going to be damaged in any of these processes. But sometimes there's a special procedure that you can raise the mat away from this charcoal so that if it does flake and drop down, it goes behind the mat into a special little groove, so you never have to worry about it. So custom framing can affect the presentation and the perception of artwork. It can also affect the value if it's done improperly, let's say. So there's a few concerns. If you're very serious about something very expensive, you want to definitely have a professional do it. And of course, nice to have a consultation with them so you can put your personal touch as well. So when you're trying to decide what kind of investment to make in your picture framing, there's a couple of considerations. For instance, the value of the piece itself. That would, warrant some expense, some investment to have it safely preserved. There's also the sentimental value, or what you were placing on it. Well, thank you very much for watching. I'm hoping you enjoyed yourself. If you want more information, you can check out my website, which is artframer.net.